Sound check.
Yep, we hear you.
Fantastic.
Hear you.
So today I'm doing it from the road. Heading down to Virginia Beach for their holiday party.
Great.
So today's session is, for lack of a better word, it's called bulletproofing your communication. And the premise for bulletproofing your communication is very, very broad. And I think it's relevant to the experts that are on this call, as well as some of the newer people. And I was at a team meeting yesterday with the Baker team, and what I realized is when they're thinking about how they're improving their communication and sharing the value proposition, what it's doing is it's strengthening the trainer as well as the student. And I don't know if anybody can relate to that. I see Ron there. I know you do a lot of training, but do you ever realize that you get better when you're teaching? Because it causes you to think about things that you don't normally think about when you're doing it automatically. Would you agree?
Yes, sir, I do.
So one of the things I asked the group, and I was at several team meetings over the last 30 days, and I'm asking the team leaders and the members, how many offers does it take to get a contract accepted? Right? And that's a benchmark, not necessarily about the quality of the clients that we're working with, but I look at it as a function of how well we communicate the offers that we're making to the listing agents. And if you think about it, it's not, you might just, and Robert Garber, I see you have your mic. You might think that it's, hey, here's what my client's offer is. They're paying $550, putting down 25%, and they're willing to waive 10,000 of the appraisal. Well, that doesn't mean anything unless you connect with the listing agent. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And communication really is the key to abundance in this business. I mean, it's the key to attracting and retaining good team members. It's the key to being able to capture business that we want to have. It's the key to being able to get participants in the transaction to make the right move. It's the key to getting a difficult attorney to do their job. I mean, think about all the opportunities that we have in a transaction where it's not our expertise, because some of us are so smart, but it's really a function of how well we can communicate our message to all the different participants in a transaction. I mean, you have title people, inspectors, appraisers, the opposite agent on a transaction. You have the buyer, the spouse, the relatives. You have the other side of the transaction, the listing agent. There's just so many pieces of the pie that we need to have a deliberate communication style and kind of check the boxes to make sure that we get everything done. So my question that I'm going to ask to some of you on the call here is, how many offers in this market do you feel? Well, I'm going to ask, how many offers on the last 5 transactions? What was the average number of offers it took you to make to get one offer accepted? Is it writing 4 offers to get one accepted? Is it writing 2 offers? Is it writing 1.5 offers? Or is it writing 12 offers to get one accepted? If you can put it in the chat box on the bottom, what that number is, I'm just curious to see where we are with that.
Well, are you
And
talking
Robert,
about being the listing broker or?
I'm talking about being the buying. So when you're the listing broker, you're in the catbird seat, right, Ron? You're
Right.
directing the traffic. You're helping, again, communication's key there, because you're helping interpret the data and getting your homeowner to make the right choice on what offer to accept, correct?
Of course. But just when you mention communication, it has to go both ways. Because a lot of times you try to call the listing agent and they don't call you back. You text them, you email them, you call them 3 or 4 times. They don't call you back. That's frustrating to work with as a buyer's broker. As a listing agent, like myself, my communication with buyer brokers are at the top of my list. I always call them back, text them back, give them the information they need to bring in the best offers. And if I have multiple offers on a listing of mine, I'll tell them, listen, we're only accepting the highest and best. Give us your best shot. And that's how we pretty much lay it out in line to them.
And Ron, when you're working with a buyer, do you ever get the impression that a listing agent's like stonewalling your offer? Because of the way they communicate to you, like, oh, they may have one of their own, or, you know,
I'm
they're
sorry,
trying to hold
you're
out.
breaking up. I
Okay.
can't hear you.
All right, sound check. Can you hear me now?
It's choppy, but go ahead.
Okay, do you ever get the impression that a listing agent is like stonewalling your offer, or maybe waiting for a better one that they can double end it
Oh, yeah,
themselves?
of course. Yeah,
A lot of times,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that um, buyers agents sometimes feel that way about you, even if it's not true?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a breakdown of communication. And sometimes, Ron, we tell ourselves a story that may not be true. Like, oh, well, Ron's not getting back to me because he has his own offer. And I know that you know, the highest trait for you, Ron, is integrity. So you would never do that. But sometimes, you know, people who are making offers on your listings may feel that way because we don't master that communication piece with them, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's absolutely true. Um, you do have to communicate with the buyers, and be as best you can is just be upfront with them and tell them what you're hearing, either back from the listing agent. We're working with one right now. We're working with this buyer now. He's a nutcase. I mean, you know, he thinks we're in collusion with the listing agent because listing agent says, well, we have multiple offers, just give us your highest and best. So we're telling the buyer, you know, this is what we're hearing. So he thinks we're colluding to try to get him up more money. So I said to Ryan, I says, you know what, we're probably best just sending this guy to the listing agent, just get a referral and just forget about it. Because I can only see trouble here. So sometimes it's worth just giving it up. It's not worth all the aggravation and the commission.
And Ron, are you sensing that, or is he explicitly telling you that?
No,
He explicitly told us that.
he's telling us that. And he's telling us and texting us. So I said to Ryan, just forget about it, you know, just refer him. Because the
So
guy's reasonable.
I respect your decision. I might zag when you zig, but I want to get some feedback. Like, what would some of the others on the group do if somebody made that sort of direct assessment, or you had the impression that that was the way they were feeling? Anybody?
Rob, I would say it's Glenn. I would say let's meet him in person.
That's what
Let's put everyone around a table.
We tried to do
We
that.
tried to do that this morning.
You
Yeah.
know, he won't do that. That's
I
what we
think
wanted to do.
I think I might tell him that you know, that maybe this isn't the property, you know, for him if he's feeling so uncomfortable with this. And, you know, because sometimes the fear of loss is a greater motivator than the opportunity to gain. So if he feels that you're willing to just let the whole thing go, then he might feel, well, wait a minute now, I do want this, you know, let's see what we can work out.
That's a great one. I've used that. Take it away from them.
Yeah, I mean, and Ron, not to dismiss that sometimes the solution is we need to decide if we're a good fit to work together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when the guy starts threatening you
Yeah,
and
and if
telling
we're
you
not,
that, go ahead, sorry. I mean,
mean,
guy
the
starts
reality
threatening
is,
you. Yeah, he's, we lost you, Robbie. When the guy threatens you and tells you things that, you know, you're colluding with the other agent, I can just see trouble down the line, and it's, to me, the commission is not worth it. On a $280,000 deal?
230.
Yeah, $230,000 deal. I mean, it's just not worth our aggravation. I'd rather just refer him to the listing agent, let the listing agent deal with him, pay us a 25% referral fee. That's just my way of doing business. I am not gonna get on my knees and start begging this guy or changing and take it away from him. We tried to get him in the office today to explain to him, this is what needs to happen in order to put our deal together. We're only here to help.
so is
We're
this the
not
first, is this
collude,
the
we're not
first
here
offer?
to-
Is this the first offer you made with this individual?
Yes.
Yeah,
So, it sounds like this might be an outlier where you move next, right? And if you can get a referral, referring it to the listing agent may be great. But I think, I think that having clear communication allows us to identify and separate the people that, we didn't, truly, attempt to communicate with and share with them how the process works. Now, a normal person who says, hey, how do I know that there are multiple offers on this particular property? Maybe you just show them that, hey, here's 2 or 3 others that sold. And if they don't really trust and engage the process, then, again, there's like that swipe next, right? Move on. And, I don't see many, I'm, like I said, I'm in the vehicle, but Robert, is there many people that put how many offers it takes to get one accepted? If not, I'd like you to just put in, like, is it 1.5, or is it 8, or is it 3? And I just wanna see where those numbers are. So if you can just type that in, or if you're somewhere where you can't type it in, maybe just blurt it out. Like, how many offers should you have to make to get one accepted? I think the average is still
Bob, there
probably
is-
about,
There is in the chat, a long response from Barbara Nicholson. And maybe if she's on the call, maybe she wants to talk about that, because I think she's got a lot of valuable
Okay.
points.
all right, so, let me see if I can pull up the, can you read the ones that are on there, Robert? Since I got a really bad
Okay,
glare.
so now we're getting a bunch of them. I've got 5, 2, 3, at least 6.
So I saw that was Bobby Golden, right?
Yes,
At 6?
yes.
And Bobby, are you saying that from the perspective of how many offers you're getting on your listings, or are you feeling that that's the number of offers that you or your team members are having to make to get one accepted?
The offers that our team makes in order to get them accepted with a particular buyer.
And how many offers are you seeing on your listings on average now the past 3 months?
3 or 4.
So it's odd that it would be 3 or 4 coming in and we have to make 6. If
And
I'm-
we're getting beat out by better offers. I know that.
And Bobby, if you had an ability to see the future, and you knew where those offers were coming in, if you're getting beat out by, $8,000 or $29,000, do you think that if your client knew what the other offers were, that they would bid higher? Or is that too far of a stretch to imagine?
In some cases they might, but in the most recent experiences, the buyers are really just maxing out at what they qualify for, and it, the seller has decided to go in another direction because there's a better offer out there.
I think,
well, you gotta remember too, the listing agent's not gonna tell you what their offers are. They're
No, I
gonna
know.
tell you they have multiple offers on it. They're not allowed to tell you, well, I got an offer full price, I got an offer for 10,000 below. I mean, they're not supposed to do that. So, in any case, if that happens, you have to just tell your buyer, listen, if you want this, there's multiple offers on it, give us your highest and best. A lot of
So-
times we have to tell them to come in full price.
So, Ron, if you have the seller's permission, you're allowed to do that in Florida, right? If the
Yeah.
seller says, look, we have 4 offers, 2 of them are over ask, please tell everybody that's interested that we already have offers over full price. I think that would be allowed, right?
I
Broker
don't
Colleen?
think so. I don't think it is. Colleen would know better, but I would.
Yeah, yes, it is allowed.
Yeah, if you have
So-
the.
so-
you have the,
In New
uh,
Jersey also.
Yeah, so in New Jersey, if you have the seller's permission, you can share that information. And keep in mind, Ron, it has to be honest, right? I know you know that, but people on the call, like you can't just say, hey, I have an offer over ask price if you don't. Okay, and then you also have to get the homeowner's permission to share that information. That's a a strategy that goes both ways. Sometimes people will be deterred from making an offer if they know that it's an extremely competitive situation. And other times people will adjust their offer up accordingly to get more consideration.
Just make sure you have it in writing from your owner that it's okay to disclose that.
And Rob, the same thing, I'm a believer that you have to care for the realtors after the fact, right? So that they don't lose their clients and they're able to educate them a bit for the next offer. And all of my competitive deals, I talk to the seller and ask them if I can send out bands that offers were in so that people have an idea how those bands go from what price range to price range, and they approve the email and send it back approved. And when I'm giving the Dear Johns out to people who are making offers, they know now, this is what it was about, so that you can go back to your buyer and give them some education. So the next offer on my house, they make a good offer.
So, who on this call thinks that a third of the agents, that you're dealing with on the other side are not properly transparent about the process? Does anybody feel
Me.
like it?
I
Sorry,
do,
Joe.
Rob.
So Colleen says more than a third. I would probably sadly agree that there's a lot of people that either are so part-time or untrained that they don't communicate back, or some of them have ethical issues that cloud their business.
Rob,
And I
the
think-
professionalism, yes.
Yes. So, Glenn, I'm intrigued by what you had said. And I almost think that if we had a process where, with seller's permission, that you were able to say, hey, here's where, the bidding is, and let people see that, I kind of like that idea. Because it does show that, everything's not just made up, and to the point of the client that you had, Ron, where they think there's collusion. If they saw like on an eBay that there were 3 offers and here's the highest one without disclosing a name, they would probably have more confidence in the process. Glenn, how do you share that information that you mentioned?
I compile it via email, and then I'll send it out to them. And I am not the agent that's calling everyone back. There's not enough hours in the day. I call the top 3 back, and then the rest get a Dear John email with that in it.
So, you know what I did that was really great for your I guess what I'd call it, your reputation or your status in the community is when you get offers. One of the agents I covered for had 41 offers about a year and a half ago, and the seller was old school, and they wanted them all printed out. What a pain that was. But I actually had them initial right by the price that it was rejected. And I took a picture and I texted it back to the listing agent. You have no idea how much to the buyer's agents. You have no idea how much they appreciated that, because they can show their client that the seller saw it, initialed and said there was a better offer. And to the point that we're talking about, Glenn, did you have anything else to add before I kind of maybe talk a little bit about your buyer strategy?
No, all good.
So,
Hey,
is there
Rob.
Hey, Rob,
Rob,
Yes.
real quick, for those of you who are juggling multiple offers along the lines of Glenn and some of the others, I think everybody uses Showing Time. They have a phenomenal product on there called Offer Manager, where the co-brokers they send over the contract, but they also put it in through Offer Manager. And it gives you a spreadsheet and it's very easy for the seller to look at. Plus you can communicate to everybody all at once right through it. So, to avoid having to call 40 people or send 40 emails or what have you, you send one email and it goes to everybody. It's really a great product.
Yeah, I think transparency is something that the industry struggles with. And I don't know if Fran Blakely is still somewhere where she can chime in. Fran, are you there? Maybe we lost her. But I think,
Hey, Rob.
yes, sir.
So what I've encountered with multiple offer scenarios, say at an open house, and I say I have multiple offers, and you know what they'll suggest to me? That's what they all say. And then even if I give them where they need to be, they'll say that's what they all say. This is buyers, of course. And so their perception is, yes, that we're hiding things from them. And even if we tell them, they don't believe us, right? Which is the other piece of the puzzle. So the perception, like Ronnie's example of this guy, saying that he's colluding. The transparency line is, well, if I don't tell you exactly what my offers are, then I'm not being transparent, right? From the buyer's perspective, right? And they all think that their offer is the best offer, even though you, in reviewing the 10 offers you have, know that they're the bottom of the barrel, right? So how do you pivot away from that with those particular people in Ronnie's case, right? To get them to understand that I'm not making any of this up, because that's what they all perceive.
And one thing I do is I watch it. I put the listing on a watch, and I'll send them an email when it closes and say, I watch everything in the market, and I wanted to give you an update on the home you made an offer on, especially if they're long haul buyers. It works pretty well because then you're basically saying, here's what their offer was.
And is there anyone else on Glenn's team besides Glenn that I can have chime in from the conversation we had yesterday? Anybody that wanna hop on? Or do we have a shy Morris agent team? So
We're here,
yeah.
Rob.
Okay, Catherine, do you want to share? Because I was really intrigued by the way your team approached getting more buyer offers accepted and being creative. And if I heard it correctly, you actually created like a checklist. Is that correct?
Yeah, so
Catherine?
Glenn, we all had our team meeting and we sat together and Glenn asked each one of us what we're doing in our offers because I don't know, 9-10 months ago, however long it was, we were all losing pretty significant, amount of deals. So we all sat down together and thought, okay, what can we put in our offers to make it more robust and to help us win? So a few of us had really good ideas and we put it down in paper and Glenn created this list, but Glenn really had some like out of the box, like totally outlandish ideas. And those are helping us win. And like I mentioned yesterday, one of them is that we offer to pay the seller's realty transfer tax. So there's a website that you could just Google NJ Realty Transfer Tax Calculator, and it's like the first thing that comes up. And if you put in the sale price of the home, whatever your offer is, let's say it's 540,000, whatever, it'll calculate how much the realty transfer tax is, which is like 2,000 or whatever on a 540. So we put that in our offer. So it's, waiving inspections, waiving appraisal, this and that. Also, my buyer's willing to pay the seller's realty transfer tax and attorney fees, and then we'll put attorney fees up to 1,500, realty transfer tax up to 3,000, whatever the buyer's willing to do. But yeah, we have a checklist that we can all run through, and we bring those up to our buyers to see what they're willing to do to get a house.
And Catherine, when we went around the table, was there anybody that was higher than 1 out of 3 offers being accepted?
Candace is at 1.1. Candace has a pretty high acceptance rate right now.
Right, but everybody else was like 1 out of 2, 1 out of 1.5. It was like pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a logical spreadsheet brain type of guy. And as a seller, I would look at it and I would just add that to the price. So for me, my intuition would have been that wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but the results speak volumes, right? Because it's not only about price, it's about terms. And you've got another point to talk about, and it seems to be working, phenomenally well. So you're offering to pay the attorney fee up to a certain number, the transfer tax. Were there any other ideas that you recall offhand, Catherine, that are on that list?
We also do waiving inspections entirely. We'll put that in the offer. And we are waiving the inspections entirely, as far as we're not going to ask the seller for anything, and we brief our clients of that upfront. However, the attorney will give a 3-day kick-out clause. All the attorneys we work with kind of understand this. And if something significant comes up that the buyers are not happy with, they're not obligated to that house. So the seller's accepting the offer, knowing that we are waiving inspections entirely. Like we're not going to ask them for a credit, and we're not going to ask them for any repairs. However, they are able to walk away after the inspection period if something comes up that they're not happy with.
I just came up with another idea. I don't know if anybody has done this. I think somebody mentioned to me, so if you're on the call, you can take credit for this, but they said that when their sellers entertain offers, what they do is they send the attorney review letter to the buyer's agent and say, look, will you accept these terms? Because in New Jersey, when you submit an offer, what's the first thing that the seller's attorney sends out? Jay, you want to tell us what happens?
I disavow the entire contract. But with these
However,
changes,
However,
with
with
these
these changes, it would be acceptable. So what I'm saying is that's another way where, if you had say, if the seller can give you the attorney review letter, maybe you can approve that before you get your offer accepted. Right? Because that to me is just very intuitive, because all they do is they look at the contract, right? They hit copy, paste the information in there, and then they send it out, right, Jay? There's not a whole lot of thought going on in the seller's attorney review letter. It's more of the buyer's attorney then saying, what will I accept? So if you can move that up a little bit, I think that's another creative way to get transactions accepted.
it helps, but it complicates it, right? Because most sellers attorneys will say, I'm waiting for the buyer's attorney's initiation letter.
But the buyer's attorney responds to the sellers, right?
No, the initiation letter usually begins from the buyer's attorney, starting attorney review. Because a lot of times the buyers will back out right there. You know what I mean? Their offer's accepted and they'll back out. So the seller's attorney doesn't want to do work on something that isn't going to go through. I've had that happen.
So then have the buyer's attorney have this canned letter. Anyway, it's just ideas to talk about to move it along.
Rob, it's not a bad
I have a
idea.
I have a comment to make, if I may.
Go ahead.
So in listening to all this, obviously we're in the same boat with you. We're putting together all the pre-approvals, and we watch our clients, many of them lose house after house after house. one of the strategies that we have used as well with a lot of our top agents is that because of the way that we do our pre-approvals, not pre-qualifications, because we actually underwrite the files up front, we encourage a lot of the agents when they present their offer, and many times when we run it through the DU, the automated underwriting, it'll give us an appraisal waiver. And we can actually tell them to go ahead and offer a cash offer or a non-mortgage contingency because the loan is already approved and committed, and they can waive their appraisal because we received an appraisal waiver. So we've used that strategy many times. I have, and one contract's over when there are multiple offers and there are mortgages in the contracts that are mortgages already approved and committed. So remember, in New Jersey, you can't issue a commitment unless you have an appraisal. But if you have an appraisal waiver, you can certainly issue a commitment, but you can issue an approval letter, not a pre-approval. And we've done this many, many times to help strengthen the buyer. So it's just an idea that's worked in the past for me.
And Rob, just I know I say it on every call, but video wins every time. And when you're in a dance off and you send a video explanation of it, fair housing approved video explanation of it, I stress that. Don't go saying this family loves your home. You can say it without saying it if you're calculated. The impact and difference is that agent that sent the War and Peace email that no one reads, opposed to a simple video that's 60 seconds long explaining the whole offer and why you are the agent of choice. It will make a world of difference each time. And I'm telling you, that's 99% of why we're winning like we are.
That's, that's outside the box, and it's probably that high acceptance rate didn't even factor in. What percentage of your team do you think do a video with their offers?
100.
100%. That's a team member validating that. And what is your video like, Catherine?
It's just me in front of my laptop, and like a nice background. And I say like whatever the agent's name. I'm like, hi, I'm so excited to work with you. My name is Catherine Loran from the Mars Agent Team, Remax Select in Rockaway. And I just want to explain my buyer's offer a little bit. And then I'll go over the details of the offer. I'll say I'm super local. I can, get to the house at any time. I'm going to make your life so easy. I'm looking forward to working with you. And I always throw something in about the buyers, like, oh my God, they love the popcorn ceiling, or wow, that green fireplace, stunning. So I'll say something like that.
So, Catherine, do you do it in a way that you hope that gets to the seller?
Absolutely, every single time, because most agents are not well equipped to remove the email and remove the video. So they'll just forward that to the seller. And if I'm watching my views, 10 times out of 10, it'll be an agent view it and then their client view it.
Catherine, do you send that video via email or text?
I do it via email, and we use BombBomb, and it embeds
Oh.
it right in the email.
Okay.
But with the offer, it's critical that it's with the offer, so it doesn't get
Yes.
detached or separated. Yep.
Gotcha. So you don't use a QR code or anything like that. You just use the link for the video. Is it a YouTube video?
No, it's a bomb.
Oh, BombBomb. Sorry. Yeah, that's right.
So I didn't even have that in this. This is why these meetings are so great, because it's like discovery along this process. So that's fantastic. And I think that's part of the reason also, Catherine, why you guys are getting the
Rob, you're really breaking up, Rob. It's really hard to hear you, Rob.
We can't hear you, Rob.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Let me
Yeah.
turn my video
Yeah, you know, we're talking about videos. The class I held last week or Tuesday was telling the agents that videos are the way of the future. So the more videos that you do, we put a QR code on our postcards that we send to a farm area, explaining what we do when we go to a listing appointment, the questions that we ask, and the procedure. And it's actually on the backside of our postcards, so they can scan it and actually see the video. But the videos are really important that you know, that I explained to my agents that they should be doing for 2024. Should be doing it now, but I mean,
Not sure if we lost Rob.
I think we did. I don't see
I
him
mean,
up on.
I think we did.
You know, one other pro tip on the video side is nobody cares what you look like. You care. Nobody cares.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's in their head. And I can tell you, Catherine's winning video, Catherine was like not made up. She even said to me, she goes, I look so terrible. And sure enough, you win because people are tired of produced, right? It's be real. That's what they want. There's too much produced stuff out there.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you know, you're gonna flub up a little bit, maybe confuse a word or something, or just have to revamp the word, but it doesn't have to be
I think
perfect.
that
It's be to the point.
I think that comes across better because if you sound too rehearsed, they think you're phony. You
Right,
know,
right.
you're
exactly.
better off being yourself.
Well, we use the teleprompter on our cell phones, and we'll put it on a tripod and read it and go over. It takes about an hour to do a video because you're gonna flub up, you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna have to come back and do it again. But the more you do it, the more often you do it, the better you get at it. So if you do it once or twice, 3 times, 5 times, maybe the 6th time is gonna be nice and smooth, and then you're still gonna have a couple of glitches here and there, but like, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, as professional as you can, but you know, it's not a big deal. Nobody cares. It's just the point. You got to get the point across, and the videos really help. And also, when we were talking about videos, we were saying,
Am I back?
"Hey, you're back." And
Sorry
videos,
about that.
the videos. If you're doing a video, and you're explaining, we have Video Leap, which has you can put music behind your video. You can put a banner that goes across, a Remax banner. You can put your website banner. I mean, there's different ways of really to make the video stand out.
Yeah, I remember watching a Tom Ferry video, and he was talking about video and how important it was to the agents. And he said, "Here's my rule. I record it, I move on. I don't go back. I don't edit it again and again. I just send it out. The important thing is to get it out and let people see you. I mean, you're natural. That's the important part. You get your point across.
Yeah.
If you flub a word or something like that, they don't care. If anything, maybe it endears you to them."
Yeah, it's the way to go.
Exactly.
It's impressive to the seller. Or, you know, even to your buyers. You can send it to a buyer before you meet with them.
Yeah. And someone just said, Catherine will attest, all I say on calls is just send it. Just send it. Don't think about it. Don't even look at the video. Just send it. If you look at the video, you're not going to send it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Hey, Glenn,
the
would
brilliant.
you?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Glenn if he would be willing to share his list of items that they're using for getting more of their offers accepted. Because those are some great ideas.
Sure. Just don't use them against me.
Never happened.
Glenn, us too. We're in Florida. You don't have to worry.
Hi, my name is Ryan.
So I think the unintended consequence which is also the intended consequence, is that the listing agent forwards it to the seller, and then the seller gets to see a real person, right? And I really think that, you know, that video engagement is no.
You're welcome. Thank
The
you.
video engagement,
Yes, thanks.
the video engagement is it's going to have an impact. Now in New Jersey, and I don't know about like Bergen County, if 25 years ago buyer's agents would go meet the homeowner and present with the listing agent. Does anybody know if that used to happen in Bergen County? Any veterans in Bergen County? Because I know Rob Durso, Bobby Golden, when you started out your career, you would have a buyer's offer. You would go to the seller's house, dressed to the nines, right, and present that offer
Every
in
time.
person. Correct?
Correct.
That's
And
absolutely.
did that not give you an incredible advantage?
Made a lot of deals at the
Right.
kitchen.
And I think, Robert, did you have a
Absolutely.
story where you presented? Robert
Yes.
Carver, did you have a story where you presented one and the guy said, "How come you're not dressed like me, like
Right.
you?"
It was, I showed up to present my buyer's offer, and the listing agent was there along with the sellers, who were an older couple, and we sat around the dining room table. I did my presentation. They were very receptive to what I had to say. As I got up to leave, I heard the seller say to their agent, you know, I was there in a suit and tie, and the listing agent was there in a tracksuit. And they said to him, "How come you're not dressed like him?" And he was just like stunned, standing there. And he said, "Well, my office is different. We run things differently." But to this day, I'm friendly with that agent, and he brings it up more often than I do.
I muted everybody because there was some background noise. So if you choose to speak, just unmute yourself. You know, that's a art that's missing, right, Robert? It doesn't exist anymore. That advantage was gone up until 8 minutes ago when Catherine shared that she does a video. That's probably not as good as in person, but it's the next best thing. And by it also being outside the box, and when you were presenting in person, if there were 3 offers, you probably had 3 people presenting in person. And now Catherine's video is probably the only video that gets through the net. It's past the gatekeeper. So Catherine and Glenn, thank you for sharing that with this group. And how much is BombBomb, just for the group, just so they kind of get an idea?
For those that are on KV Core, you get a discounted version, which is more than adequate for what you need, and that's $29 a month. For those that are outside of it, it's $49 a month.
And if you're interested in BombBomb, I do believe I have a legacy enterprise account, and I can check what the pricing is for that if you are really interested. But like any other CRM, it's only a good deal, Glenn, if
You use it, and that's the thing. You know, my take is if you're not going to do 30 videos a month, don't buy it. It's not worth the money. It's $1 a video, right? It's crazy.
yeah. So you have to make that commitment to using it, and you probably have to make a commitment not to watch yourself too much, because then you won't use it. It's just human nature. So we kind of went down this path of communication for the.
Hey, Rob.
You're getting that listing. Yes,
Rob?
sir.
Eric here.
Yes,
I'd like to bring up to the
Eric
group.
here.
I want to bring up their group. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can.
All right. So my Yelp review, my 1-star Yelp review. I had a lady, past client, call me to sell her house. Her husband died. She wanted 600 grand for this house. It was worth at least $1 million. He said, "Eric, give me 600,000. You can have it." And I said, "No, Dana, we'll get it appraised. we'll put it in MLS, we'll get you top dollar. We had it professionally appraised at $1,025,000. She says, I don't want to take forever, so we listed it $999. Okay. She would not let us have an open house, but she let us have 2 broker opens for 2 different days at 2 different times. We had 7 offers, and I kept and we said we're offers up until Monday at 12 noon. And agents kept submitting offers and saying, well, they're submitting, is this good enough? Is this good enough? And I kept saying, you got to get your best, you got to get your best and final. And this one agent, I think she was in Costa Rica on vacation, not representing her client properly. He loses out on the sale. Well, this shows up on Yelp. Eric listed a house in Jupiter that we were interested in. The house was listed $500,000 below appraised value, which is a lie. It was a certified appraisal appraised at $1,025,000. We thought it a great deal, so we had our agent reach out to him, make an offer. He conducted an auction with the property by asking our agent how much we're willing to go up, which is not true. I told him bring best and final. At the end, we felt like we're being scammed by him as he kept going back and forth, asking us to go up another $50,000 as someone else has gone up with another offer. If we would have known that this was going to be an auction, I would have never bid the house up and probably would have saved someone a lot of money. This is an illegal practice and is being reported by us to the Realtors Association. Would never look at a house listed by this agent. How would you guys respond to that? Because I asked for best and finals from all these agents.
I mean,
hurt people.
Well, would you even respond to that? Or is there a way on Yelp to respond? I haven't figured out how to respond to Yelp.
well, here's what I would do, Eric, is I would put down that, this was a unique property. We wanted to price it to get, maximum exposure and do the best job for our seller client. If you're looking to sell your house and you're interested in getting a significantly over ask price offer, please reach out to me.
But I don't know how to do that on Yelp. But here's another caveat to this, guys. This house literally appraised 4 weeks prior to getting these 7 offers. It appraised at $1,025,000. The buyer wanted to use it for an Airbnb. He paid $1.4 million for it. Okay. And on top of that, when he went to closing, he borrowed $1,450,000 on it, $50,000 higher than his offer. Go figure that.
Eric, my take on it would be I wouldn't sweat a Yelp review. If they're looking for Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwiches and a real estate realtor, I wouldn't even respond on a Yelp. It's so irrelevant in our market.
I don't even know how to respond on Yelp.
Yeah. We have a saying in the fire service, if you're not getting no votes, you're not doing the right thing. So let them do what they're going to do. You go on, do what you're doing. You did the right thing.
Yeah. All right.
Eric, why don't you get a testimonial from your seller that you were doing a great job, you represented her properly, and do that. That's what I would do.
Good idea.
I like that idea too.
I mean, I literally could have bought that house for $600,000 if I was some of these sleazebag realtors.
No, I mean that, but Eric, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
And you know what? It's criminals often get caught not the first time because they get greedy and they get complacent. So you can't have integrity part of the time. And I really commend you for that, because that would have been an easy score. So and the industry is better for those of us like Eric in making those right decisions.
Good karma.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it comes back.
Eric's a true professional.
Thank you.
It comes back. So if you have any listing referrals, Eric should be one of the people in Palm Beach County that you consider. But anyway, I want to go back to this bulletproof communication, because I know we always go down really great rabbit holes on these meetings, but I think bulletproof communication is knowing how you're going to communicate whatever that message is. And one of the sayings, I think it even came up yesterday, is when opportunity arises, it's too late to prepare. when opportunity arises, it's too late to prepare. So when somebody asks you a question, you know, you can't really start to think about how you're going to answer it. You need to know how you're going to address the 99 basic questions and the fat pitches that are coming up to us, right? And I'm going to say even more so than knowing how you're going to answer them, you need to anticipate and almost, you know, want them to come. And if you've ever left an opportunity or an appointment and you didn't get that a couple of difficult questions and you feel like, wow, I over prepared, like, you know, that's my experience is I want to get the tough questions so I can differentiate myself. I don't want to just, you know, hope that I slide through the process. Does that resonate with anybody?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, like I'm anxious to get that question. And that goes towards you know, Eric, your behavior. I hope that the agent didn't feel the same way as that client, but I think, you know, our reputation in the business also helps us get more business because we do the right thing. And, you know, when people's offers don't get accepted, you know, somebody mentioned that, hey, you know, I'm making a point to, you know, personally reach out to everybody and make sure that they know that it was presented and the seller appreciated your offer. Thank you so much. As opposed to, you know, Bobby Golden, if you said you get 1 out of 6 offers accepted, how many people give you a proper response when your offer isn't accepted? Out of curiosity, if you're still on.
Very few.
How disgusting is that, right? I mean, they don't even respond to you. And then that person that doesn't respond to you, you know, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years later, they're making an offer on your property, right? How do you feel?
I don't forget.
Right. So for those of us that are younger those younger agents in the business, you know, think, you know, 2 moves ahead in the chess game. Don't just think about, I'm really busy. I'm not going to get back to, you know, Bobby Golden with his low ball offer. You know, he's number 4 out of 8. I'm not even going to give him the courtesy of a call or a professionally written text message or email. It comes back and gets you.
I like
Absolutely.
Glenn's
The
suggestion.
perception is that no one will notice, but reality is we really have a small community of agents
Yep,
that are
Bobby,
professional, that do the right thing, and the people that do the right thing are absolutely noticed and remembered.
and you know, Bobby, you had another comment?
I was just gonna say, I like Glenn's suggestion, when you have multiple offers, you reach out to maybe the top 3 or 4 and then send out, you know, a professionally prepared email to everybody else. You can't spend the whole afternoon calling agents back because their offer wasn't accepted, but if you do give a courtesy call to 3 or 4 agents, it certainly sets things off on a good tone.
And you know, Bobby, all things almost equal, the reputation and the skill set of the buyer's agent on a listing, on an offer presented, I'm going to say that matters. Do you agree?
I agree.
Right? If there's like some people that you're doing a lot of business with and you know that they know how to handle a process, you know, they know how to manage your client's expectations through home inspections, right?
Yep.
You know, that matters during the process. And I'll bet you, and this is not a arranged thing, but I'll bet you there are at least 5 agents in your market that when you see an offer from them, you're like, even if I took it, it's not going to close without a hassle. Is there 5 or more of those in your market, Bobby?
Without question. But flipping the coin here a little bit, it's always good to hear from a listing agent where they say, Bobby, we have multiple offers, but we want to make your deal because we've worked together in the past and I enjoyed working with you. So what goes around comes around.
Yep. So for those who haven't been in the business long enough, I think this is really valuable information for you to process. And those of us that have been, and maybe have forgotten the days that we used to present offers in person, you know, here's the next best thing, or maybe even the best thing. It's not even the next best. Maybe it's even better than in person. Because if there's 6 offers, yours will be the only one with a video, and you can see how many times they watched it. Right? I think that's super duper awesome. And then, you know, Bobby Golden, Rob Durso in the Middlesex County, Woodbridge area. If you have any referral business, Glenn Baker, Morris County, Morris agent team. So please think about, you know, working with these great talents that share information. You know, they make us all better. So in the last 5 minutes, I want to ask if anybody has any questions. And then I'm gonna drive it home with a little bit of some glue to pull it all together. No, nobody has any questions? Great. So we can see that, you know, the communication in this process literally starts with, you know, however you capture the lead, you have to have an appropriate communication process and procedure to be attractive to the seller or buyer. You have to have a rapport and an elevated level of trust so that the buyers and sellers make the right business decisions, right? You know, integrity-based conversations where they're relying on you for your advice. For example, you know, if you went to a doctor and they said, look, you know, you have a skin cancer on the back of your neck, you know, we could, you know, give you radiation, or I can just cut it out here. And he says, I recommend cutting it out. You're probably not going to question, you know, a vetted professional on how to get the job done. And I think when we're viewed at a higher level than just a, you know, a desperate salesperson, right? Or as a, you know, door opener for buyers, or as a clerical inputter for a listing, right? We are so much more than that, that they will value our advice, and we will only give them good advice, right? So that's, you know, 2 or 3 levels of communication right there. Then we have the communication once we, you know, get the offer, either received from a listing side or submit it from a buyer side. We have the communication with the other agent on the side. We have bulletproof communication we have to have with, you know, inspectors, appraisers, attorneys. There are so many places that our communication skills and our I guess our calendar management of what has to happen impact how a transaction goes, and then that defines our reputation for the future, right? So we might think it's just, hey, I got a good offer, they didn't take my offer, and, you know, I'm aggravated, right? But I think in reality, more times than not, it's beholden to us to try to figure out, you know, what can we do differently to get those offers accepted. You know, Renee had mentioned that, and I think Frank does it too, that you can talk about how this is a pre-approval and went through DU, right? And even if you have an opportunity to speak with the listing agent for, you know, 3 minutes, where you're not groveling and saying, hey, I just want to let you know, I've worked with, you know, Frank or Renee for years. I've known them for years, and this is basically like a cash offer. Okay. That's how some of our better agents get VA offers accepted, and we're getting VA offers accepted during the past 3 years by saying, look at, you know, this person's down payment was the service they made in the military. You know, I think Glenn, you were one of the ones that had used that line, and it has an impact. And I'll bet you if you embed that into a video, somebody might actually feel guilty not taking the offer from somebody who served the country that they live in. You know, I don't know, Chief Baker, are you able to comment on that? Do you think that is a strategy that when they see that video and they know that it's a serviceman or woman that put their time in, it helps?
Yeah, make no mistake, it's a guilt trip. If you're not educated on the process, these guys have done their job. Now it's time for you to do yours. That's the message we're sending.
And Glenn, it's not even a guilt trip because I think people dismiss it because they look at the lower down payment. And how many VA offers that you make are handicapped to your regular offers? I don't think that there's any difference. A Glenn Baker VA versus a Glenn Baker cash offer is pretty much the same from the financing side. You know, what can go wrong is the same thing that can go wrong with the cash offer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I honestly, I believe that fully because I know when you have your VA pre-approvals, Glenn, they're rock solid, but the other side doesn't know that. So maybe what you're calling guilt is just it's conveyance of the certainty that you have that it's going to go through, and highlighting the fact that they put their time in for the down payment instead of save money, but it's the same difference.
Not to mention, to get approved for a VA loan is so much more liberal than a conventional one. I mean, the guidelines are so much more loose on VA than they are on conventional. I would take a VA buyer over anyone, any day.
So for those of us that are on this call that maybe have shunned away from a VA offer because there's no money down, or if you've rejected a VA offer because there's no money down, maybe we need to rethink that and educate our sellers on the listing side. And we need to figure out a way that we can communicate, at the closing table. Renee, is there any difference between a cash offer and VA financing?
No,
Appraisal.
that's the
Well, no,
only
but
difference is the appraisal,
no,
obviously.
but when they go to the closing, they both get cash, right?
Correct.
And I've seen, maybe it's less prevalent now, but I've seen people who've paid cash and say that I want to do an appraisal. Has anybody ever seen that?
Absolutely.
They just want to
More
make
than
sure that
once.
they're paying fair value.
Yep.
So let's not let our head, trip us up in, kind of thinking what somebody else is thinking. Let's own our thoughts. Let's own our communication. Let's share the value that we have. And, to the point that we started with, Ron, in the abundance in real estate world, which we live in, it's okay if somebody doesn't come around to say next. And if you want to be creative and try to get a referral fee off that, I think that's great. But we're in the abundant planet. We're gonna, talk to people that trust us, that we like to work with, that we believe in, and that we know that we can get the transactions done. Because at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't trust us and they don't give us straight information, a lot of those deals go sideways. And then it's a bad reflection upon us, not just an unpaid transaction. Because if you take that transaction 95% of the way and it doesn't go to the closing, who wants to tell me what you get paid? Almost there, right?
Zero.
But it doesn't quite make it to the closing table. You get
Right.
zero.
Yep.
So let's bulletproof our communication in a positive way. Let's use some of the things that we shared here. Glenn, if you're willing to share that list, and I'm going to even be bold enough to ask if there's an old Bomb video that maybe we could post so that people can look at what it looks like. If I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you now, but if you don't mind sharing that, when we post this video to our YouTube channel, and there's a link to it in the email you get every time, go to the channel. I'll put these as links on the bottom of the video so you can access them. And it wouldn't
That
kill
would
you
be
if you gave
great.
a like and subscribe, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, and Colleen, it wouldn't kill any of you if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'd like to share our content with more people. All
Hey,
right.
Yeah,
Rob.
Rob, I'll be happy to share that, and I'll also include a hello video that I do with new clients and stuff, which is kind of neat. Rob, one thing that I want to mention, I know that a lot of people say I did everything I could to get the offer accepted, and I think everyone walking away from this call has to ask themselves, did you? You didn't do a video, right? Did you? So
Yeah, I mean, Glenn, that I didn't even pick that up at at the meeting yesterday, and that's why these meetings are so great. And it's communication from starting line to the finish line, right? And perhaps the raving fans are built in the communication when you don't need to communicate, right? So if it's understood that, hey, this is all good, let's over communicate, go out of their way and refer us in the future. So I appreciate all of you. Have a fantastic, productive weekend. And I'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Rob.
bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rob.
Take care, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Rates are dropping, everybody. Call
Oh,
your clients.
Thanks,
Rates have
everyone.
come down a lot.
Amen.
Amen.
Definitely.
Bye.
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 Have a great weekend.